Good morning and afternoon or evening, good night, whatever, wherever you are. Welcome to the Business Octopus live stream. We are getting close to the end of the year. I do love your hat there. Now, it's
Look,
not Wrestling Federation, it is Wonder Woman.
it is. Oh God, the camera's discombobulating me. Yes, this is Wonder Woman. I was with the boys earlier. They thought it was WWE. Now I want a WWE hat. Not gonna lie, so I may need to source that as well. But we have Wonder Woman. Yeah. So yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Mission Command versus Central Command. Now, and that might be a little bit confusing to people in the business world. It is a little bit of a military concept. So just to quickly explain it, Mission Command is like giving your troops a whole bunch of rules, the end objective, and giving them a bit of free license within that to actually go and achieve the mission or a mission, whatever mission that you set for them. Then Central Command is where everything runs through you as the individual. Now, in some circumstances, people will pick one or the other because, speed of decision making happens faster when there's one person making the decision. The trade-off is that you're the only person that can make those decisions. And so if you are out of action for whatever reason, that reduces the ability for the team to pick it up and run with it. So one might be slower in some circumstances. One might be, a little bit more less risky in other circumstances because not everything all on one person. I think in business, you don't have to hang your hat on one or the other. It depends a little on your industry. It's more of a strategic choice, and you might choose to do some things very centrally. For example, brand control, or deciding upon how things look and feel within the organization, or running your company culture. That's something that should happen. Culture happens with everybody. That's a little bit more of a mission command problem, but you want to try and take each element and use it appropriately. But in today's session, we're mostly talking about dealing with your team and how you can maybe get a day off, take some Christmas leave.
Stop.
Or something. So we might lean a little more towards the mission command. But in some circumstances, both are useful. Like if you had very short decision-making cycles, I would say, for example, Elon Musk, right? He is very much at the top of a massive organization, but still extremely hands-on with a lot of things. I think he still allows local leadership to take control, but he still goes and sleeps on the factory floor and makes sure everything is running the way it should. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I did not know that. There you go. Wow.
Well, yeah, he's famous for literally taking a stretcher and a sleeping bag and sleeping on the factory floor. And he basically turned around a situation where there was, running out of cash, had to get certain products out of the door. And by sleeping on a stretcher in a sleeping bag on the floor, he was there 24/7, apart from a few hours sleep. And then that's helping him to make decisions to move the company forward. Because at that point, you are removing bottlenecks, and speed was important at that point. Now, you cannot achieve scale without delegating and giving things to other people. When you are the center of everything, yes, it slows things down, but it gives you leverage. So there are times where you might have to flick between Central Command versus Mission Command. There are times when you might have to decide, it depends on the organization too. Like on the governance at a certain scale, you can't be the person to make every decision because, if you're a listed company, you have to have separation of powers. If you are a decision maker on certain things, you can't be a decision maker on something else. You can't approve your own pay rise, for example, in a ASX.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go.
So yes, go.
No, go.
Questions.
So if we're thinking about our own businesses, right? How does it, let's get super practical. How does that apply like on a day-to-day basis? Like if we're running things, how do I apply this mentality to get a better outcome?
Well, you don't want to get a phone call every time someone has to make a decision. So you're going to give them some level of local control. You're going to say, here's the rule book, or here's the decision-making criteria. But I think broadly, you need to say, here's the end objective that I actually want to achieve. This is the desired end state. So the desired end state will be, I need, like breakfast made. And just as an example, some kind of like simple thing, right? It has to have toast. It has to have, let's say, a coffee, and then there has to be some eggs or something, right? So if you said that's the criteria and it has to be done by 7 a.m., then you could say to them that's the end state, and the rules are don't burn the house down. You have to use the food that's within date, right? Whether they fry the egg, poach the egg, or whatever, you haven't necessarily specified. If the toaster's not working, there's nothing stopping them getting a coat hanger and holding it over the flame. The point is they've got the ability to modify the plan. You have it defined. Grab one piece of bread, place it in toaster, lower toaster down, making sure the switch is on. Like, you haven't had to document 10,000 things to get every little outcome. You've kind of assumed 100%. That they know something.
Right. So, because we're like, here's the outcome we need. Just get there. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. But, to your point about wanting leaders versus managers, or, we're kind of discussing earlier, is sometimes you want people to come up with things, and you kind of have to foster a culture of they're allowed to make ideas. They're allowed to make mistakes. If you don't allow some room for error, like, people might surprise you if you've got if you say, here's the end state and here's the rules, don't break any laws, don't damage any equipment, then they might go, well, we did this thing, we held the toaster upside down or something like that, and it solved this issue and nobody got hurt. It wasn't illegal, but or even we put the toaster on its side and made cheese on toast with it just in the toaster, like, that's a hack kind of thing that is something that, yes, there's an element of risk that you're going to get the cheese stuck on the inside, or that you won't be able to get it out again.
We've all been there.
But like, without having the freedom to make these little adjustments, you would never understand that maybe there is a market for a side toaster.
100%. I'm there for it.
Yeah. So there's got to be some kind of freedom to do something different. There's a statement that I don't mind that some people hate, but it's if it's stupid but works, it's not stupid.
Say that again. If
it's stupid but works, it's not stupid.
It's not stupid. Okay, I like it. Then it can't be stupid, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I did a little minor rally, motor car kind of race.
Oh, cool.
And the rubber stopper on the spring and the suspension broke off, which meant that we hit a bump and then it compressed but stayed compressed, and so the wheel was rubbing on the inside of the guard, and so we couldn't race anymore. So we're like, pull it out, unbolt it. This was the car we had to drive home in. Unbolt it, use a crowbar, spring it open again, because the spring had just sort of clipped in over itself. So we just, a simple fix, put it back in, and we were away. But in order to stop it happening again, because any other bump big enough would do that again, we just got a bit of thick rope, tied it around, tied a knot, and that bit of rope not only acted as the stopper, it also stayed on for the 200-kilometer drive home.
Stop.
So it was stupid and it worked until we were able to get a proper car part for it.
Yeah, amazing. Wow.
Or like the, I don't know, Apollo 11, where they used socks and gaffer tape and bits
blows
of
my mind.
It solved a problem long enough for it no longer to be a problem.
To solve the problem. Yeah, absolutely. And that's incredible. So yes, if it's stupid and it works, it can't be stupid. Amazing. I love it. So just going back to your point about, so we've got doers, we've got managers, we've got leaders. Something we spoke about earlier as well that I think is important. You need those visionary leaders in the organization as well. So we've got leaders that are great with people and great at achieving an objective through other people and motivating them and making them feel like they're part of something amazing. You need that, what we were saying is like that level up of leadership, the visionary people that can look to the horizon, the North Star, if you like, and come up with the ideas that are going to take the organization to the next level. So how do we make sure we got the right mix of those humans?
Well, you've got to encourage people. You don't want order takers. You want people who are going to, have a certain degree of pushback, not so much that they become a roadblock to everything, but you want someone who's passionate about the cause, about the job, about the outcome, enough that they're going to pitch in and provide an element of, some challenging thought. And sometimes they've got to pick their battles. Like if it's really short notice, we don't have a lot of time, we don't have time to go down some tangent over there, they're going to have the wherewithal to sort of say, yes, I know when to interject and when to just, a good enough plan will get the job done. We need people who are along for the ride and kind of can sort of sit almost as a peer in the management structure. Like ultimately you want a board of advisors within your company that can sort of say, well, have we thought of this? Or here's another challenge that we didn't realize, or there's another way to solve the problem and it's over here. If you have everybody just sitting there, and maybe this comes from people being or can be reduced by having people who are very strong personality.
Yeah.
So if you are a bit of a sort of a leader that's, tends to be punchy and short and, tell people what to do, you're not going to foster the ability for other people to say their thing.
Correct.
And if they offer the value, if you shoot them down and tell them they're dumb all the time, what would be better is if you just sat there and asked them some more questions about it. So yes, it might feel like it slows down decision making, but it accelerates in other areas. So if you say, tell me why you think that's good. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? I like it, but I would be concerned about that. And then you're giving them the guardrails, and you can write this down. You can give it verbally in a short thing. But what you then do is you allow that person to go away to run that show, to be that leader, and solve 1,000 other problems that they never have to come to you with. So taking that extra time to make sure they've got it, that they're driven to achieve the outcome, will give you exponential more time later in the fact that they will be able to take that and run with it, and then, come back having grown the business 50 times just on that one little thing.
Exactly. And one thing I want to drill in on, Avon, you spoke about guardrails, right?
Yeah.
So giving them, one of my clients uses this, or like he calls it the corral, right? So like if they're, sheep and cows, like they're in the corral, so they can move around, eat this patch of grass, play within the rules of the corral. And then anything outside that they need to escalate. But it's so important. And I think something we're not always great at in leadership positions is setting that corral, if you like, or setting the guardrails so they know what they can do. So whatever you're delegating to the team, make sure they know what the rules of engagement are, like what boundary to which they can push to. 100%.
And I think, you give them, you might suggest a method that they do something with, but they can, go around it. You give them the objectives to go, we have to get from here to there with no loss of, X, Y, and Z, without damaging equipment.
Yes.
It has to relate back to, the core values, like Google have one, which is don't be evil. So, there's got to be some of those, that there's some implied guardrails from who you are as a corporate culture, some defined guardrails, which are, when operating in this region, don't do this because it's frowned upon, like, doing like IKEA, right? So all of their magazines in Dubai, UAE, Saudi don't have any women in them. So the thing is, design the catalog, don't breach cultural rules in that country. Right, so there's the guardrail.
100%.
But where they put the kitchen set in the picture is up to them. You know, as long as it looks good. The rule is don't breach the cultural rules of that nation. So you have to have specific rule layer on top of your general rule layer. And then there might be like a suggested execution to go, all right, so the mission is to achieve this. Right? So in the military, you've got an orders format called SMEAC. Situation, you're describing the situation. So you are to do this in order to enable that. So you are to, you know, write a magazine in order to sell more products, as an example. Then there is the execution. So you need to ensure that it is, you know, 20 pages, that it obeys cultural rules, that it is by the end of the year. And then you've got your admin and logistics. So, you know, you can use these printing companies. These are the numbers you can call if you need to check with whatever else. Use these companies to review legally what you've done in the area. And then command and signals, which is like all right, this person is in charge of, you know, colors. This person's in charge of, you know, marketing, messaging. I'll do the final review and then go, right? So then you've kind of given them the guardrails, who they can talk to about what the preferred process is, but they still have the ability to amend it within the rules. So
yeah,
kind of restating the same, but yeah.
No, and just, yes, one thing you said earlier, I just want to double down on for those at home. So you're saying what to do and what not to do. I think that's really important to say what not to do. And also, if you show them what a win looks like, here's a great example of a project that we did, and here's one that didn't go so well. I think that's a really important contrast. And if you can point out the whys, like why this was really successful, why this one wasn't, it just it gives people a more complete picture. So we're setting them up to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, yeah, giving people freedom to win and be successful will massively improve like morale in the organization, will help them to feel as though they're developing their career. They will be more happy to come up with things in the future. And it's less that you have to do as the person running the business. And, you know, not every idea is on you. Not every decision is on you. You kind of get to not lay back and rest. You know, you still got to run your operation, but you can achieve a lot more scale when you enable other people. So
absolutely get things done through the many, and that's where the magic happens.
So I think if you're listening and if you've got other questions and you want to you know, contribute or have something else for us to go through and talk through a challenge or a problem, jump onto the Relevate community, post a comment in there, and we can discuss it in the community. You know, there's heaps of other cool people, more than just us within the community. So way
cooler than us.
Some of them, yeah, absolutely. And we can come up with all sorts of answers to your challenges. Otherwise, thank you for watching. You stay classy.